Jim Shank, Lessons from My Father.
Martin Luther King recently challenged me with his famous but new to me quote, "Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?" Fellow Toastmasters guessed, those words convicted me. But I long ago learned that lesson from a less eloquent man who was equally heroic, my father. He's been serving others almost non-stop since he was a little boy. He inspires me daily to be a better man. My father was the last unexpected, probably unwanted child of an older, mousy, sickly German immigrant. He was born with a cord around his neck and a shortened claw-like arm. His mother didn't christen him, didn't even give him a name until she was forced to put something, anything on a birth certificate. But those nurses, they fell in love with him immediately. His unexpected pluck and strength prompted them to name him Little Butch, or Butchie for short. And that's the name that stuck with him audaciously as he made his way into a world stacked against him. My father, my grandfather Hans, was a German immigrant. He could fix anything with an engine, and he passed those skills down to his three much older sons. But as for little Butch, he was so small. He was nearly blind with one hand. What could he do? Hans never found out. He dropped dead in a New Jersey diner, age 57, of a heart attack. The insurance covered the burial, but left nothing for mortgage or groceries. So brothers Bill, Fred, John quit school, headed into the world to fix cars and motorcycles and Jeeps. My grandmother, Emily, took a position as a concierge at a rundown apartment building in exchange for a small, dingy one-bedroom flat. But she had a roommate and an earnest helper. Little Butch, age 5. He would help her. He would sweep that building for her, help her collect rents, cook their dinner on a wood stove when he had nothing more to work with than maybe a handful of spaghetti or a single tomato. After school and chores, he couldn't play baseball with the other boys in the neighborhood, at least not so well. So he ended up in the park where the old Italian men fed the pigeons. They taught him to play bocce ball and how to race his bike fast. Italian sports that required heart and cunning, but just one hand. And they filled his head with stories of great men who designed and built the world's fastest automobiles: Ferrari, Maserati, Bugatti. Butchie decided that if he couldn't fix cars like his grandfather and his brothers, he would design them. After all, it just took one piece of paper, one pencil, one keen mind, one dream, one hand. By age 11, he could design freehand original sports and race cars from his imagination, including detailed schematics. When he signed up for college prep classes, a guidance counselor pulled him in. "Well, Henry, it's clear that you can draw, but you're poor. You've got no father. You got one hand. You're not going to college, much less Milan, to design cars." Crushed, Butchie quit school, took a job, a dangerous one at the paper plant. And when that factory moved to Iowa, he's the only one who went with it in hopes for any sort of opening and opportunity. He dutifully brought his mother with him. But he suddenly found himself longing to be back in Jersey because Butchie had fallen in love with his best friend's little sister, a feisty Irish lass named Kathy, who, like him, had no father, but worse, abusive mother. Now, on one glorious weekend visit back to Jersey, Butchie created his most original design. Me. He begged Kathy every week for a year to marry him so he could take care of us. She resisted. She wanted to make sure it wasn't a matter of duty, but love. And he worked. When she finally said yes, he worked around the clock to take care of us, and then my sister, my mother-in-law, his mother-in-law. He wasn't designing cars. plowing snow for them. Eventually, he did get better jobs through the government, but that would require commuting up to 4 hours a day, working weekends. Still, he never missed a single school, scout, or sport event. And he made sure the money was there for Kathy to fulfill her dream to go to college and become a nurse. He doubled his mortgage to put us in a smaller house, but in a better school district. He passed over the promotion of a lifetime to stay in a good school district. He paid for 90% of my private university cost. On by all rights, I should have gotten a scholarship or gone to state college. But by the time he was ready to retire at age 55, he had a wife who was saving lives daily in a big city ER, a daughter who was poised to become a White House attorney, and a son who was interviewing the likes of Michael Jordan, Joe Biden, the Bengals, and Carrot Top. As for Butchie, he went to Europe several times, including Milan. He cruised 2 oceans, he owned timeshare in the Caribbean, he was building a beautiful retirement home, and he was signing up to take engineering and design classes at the local college. His golden years were going to be golden. That's when things went wonky. Days after his retirement, Kathy had a brain aneurysm. She should have died in her very own ER. Her colleagues had given up on her, until Butchie moved quickly and decisively to get her the best brain surgeon in all of D.C. Still, 15 years later, she can't talk, but she only used 2 limbs. His entire retirement has been full-time primary caregiver, and it's been arduous. There's been a double bypass. Shredded all the tendons in his one good arm. Even a drink of water is a great effort. Exploding disc in his back, alternating paralysis and excruciating pain. Still, he plows on. Like most boys, Butchie had dreams. His escaped him. Instead, he found purpose, and he fulfilled his obligations without fail. He made sure others could fulfill their dreams. Now, for better or worse, I'm not yet President of the United States. That was my dream. But everything I do is geared towards making life better, safer, freer for those entrusted to me. And I can read about Butchie and me in the history books. But I have learned firsthand that when a man invests in those around him, he makes life better for all of us and for future generations. Thank you.